listening to Comics Podcasting on the edge of civility.
So, here's the thing, you motherfuckers.
I'm here to talk to you, you motherfucker. I'm here to tell you a story, you motherfucker. You just, everything sounds cooler with that. Like, you just try, amen, you motherfuckers. You gotta get a little rhyme to it too, though, you know.
Yeah, maybe. So, yeah. Motherfuckers.
It's a perfect word. Like,
We're running out of things to say.
Oh, very much
We
so.
just started. We're not even. We hadn't even introduced ourselves.
Not even a
yet.
hello.
We're
Just
already out of motherfuckers.
welcome to Obscenityville. Population us, bitches.
This is the Mean Geek, episode 186. Coming to you live from Tech Jedi's Death Star. If fucking only. That would be pretty cool.
Screw that, man. That thing blows up constantly. That's like owning a Nova. Like, that's just a terrible plan.
Oh, you mean a Pinto?
Yes, I do mean a Pinto. Right.
Little Pintos all combusting. It's Indie Week, but before we get too far into that, I liked Flash. Rev didn't watch it.
No, that's true. That's right. As it stands right now, Gotham, haven't seen it. Flash, haven't seen it. Nerd card, lost.
It's true.
Commodore wife is very proud. She's like, he's growing up. He's like, no, I'm just really fucking forgetful. Because of all the other stupid shit that I'm
She's
watching.
not really giving you crap about that, is she? Come on.
Oh, growing up?
Really?
Oh, no, the amount of comic books in the house, definitely. But no, in general, no. Like, you know, you marry a broken ass like mine, you ain't expecting to repair it all that much. Like, Scotch tape only goes so far.
That's just fucking terrible.
You know, you gotta know what you're getting into.
What is psychological Scotch tape anyway? Is that a pat on the head? What
beer.
is it? Aha. Now we're getting somewhere. No, I like the Flash. Yeah, no, the origin worked out kinda, but well, by the time anybody hears this, it's not spoilers anymore. Using the event that triggered the lightning that triggered the chemicals in the crime lab, the event that triggered that also created everybody else. Like, probably the entire Rogues Gallery.
Really?
Yeah, in the first episode, we got fucking Weather Wizard.
That's awesome.
Of all people, in 30 fucking years of reading comics, I never, in my life, even with this renaissance of comics and other media, did I ever think I would see Weather fucking Wizard?
Come on, Weather Wizard is top 5
I am not
Rogues
saying
Gallery.
it's bad. I'm saying I never ever thought it would happen.
But I think he was in the original Flash, though, too.
With the Wesley Shipp one from the 90s?
Yeah.
No, only Trickster showed up for that.
He was the only villain? I never
Yeah.
watched that one either.
Yeah.
But that was back when I didn't watch
It
television.
only lasted like a season and a half anyway.
But, like,
so.
break down the Rogues Gallery. Like, your top Rogues, Trickster.
Yeah. Mirror Master.
Yep.
Weather
Cold.
Wizard. Captain Cold. Pied Piper. Piper?
Grodd.
Which, we didn't see him, but we saw his ruined cage.
Love that. What, the top, Heatwave, Reverse Flash.
I don't know, is the top really...
The only one who died fighting the Flash, man.
Okay.
But yeah,
So-
no, it's hard. It's very hard. I mean, they're all hard to take seriously, but the top is like really pushing it.
It is. But in the episode, we saw, and I'm not certain who's whom just yet, but we did see both Reverse Flash and Professor Zoom.
That is Reverse Flash.
They are the same fucking
Yes.
character? Why are they the same character? That's fucking stupid.
What do you mean? He goes by many names. He went by the Flash for
All
a
right,
while. I mean,
we have two characters who could be Reverse Flash. Let's put it that way. But at the end, they're setting things way the fuck up way early. Because the very last scene is the Star Labs guy who is pretending to be crippled, standing up, walking over to a monitor, and looking at a future newspaper talking about Flash killed in a crisis.
Dun 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 dun.
Bah!
All right, well, I'm playing some big nerd hands early.
Big. Really soon. And then the previews had Captain Cold.
Well, you have like that's
So no, I'm not. Of course you do.
he's the iconic one. I mean, isn't he the one who made the Justice League cartoon back in the?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. No, and I'm not saying any of that's bad. Yes, of course you have to have them.
As origins go, I kind of like I don't fully understand the idea that the one thing costs all of them, but it makes more like Flash. As much as we've talked in old podcasts about my love of the Flash Rogues Gallery, but they are truly awful in terms of origin. Like, oh, I'm just a rogue scientist who came up, or my brother's a rogue scientist, or my sweet aunt Matilda is a rogue scientist who came up with this. No.
It was the Silver Age, dude. But what were you going to do?
You know what?
Everything had to be science.
Every other book has found a way to kind of either work those guys out or work them in more realistically. Like, Batman villains, it's like, well, I'm just batshit crazy. It's I come up with like bombs in shape of penguins. I don't have a satellite that controls the weather in my magic wand. Like nobody else has that weird science base. Like a couple of Superman villains, but they mostly, you don't see the space pirate anymore. You don't see outside of goddamn Nightcrawler. Space pirates are just not generally villains.
And this week I am going to pick it back up. But I screwed up. But I'm thinking one episode is probably not going to kill me this early in.
It's on Hulu, so I'll be able to. You can stop by there and watch it.
That was fast.
No, I mean Hulu does shows as they come out. So
okay.
Yeah, both that and Gotham, so I can go back and watch all those.
Is that a pay Hulu or is that a Hulu?
I don't know what the fuck that means.
Do you pay?
Yes.
Okay.
So you're watching it
because I thought for a long time there it was Hulu. It was free. Are there free aspects of Hulu?
I have no idea. I pay for it, so I have no clue if there are. I mean, if there are, I'm paying for them. So, woohoo.
There you go. Any actual news? I have a horrible story I'm going to get through really quickly.
Oh, super.
It's about Diablo 2, so it's not like, people haven't died.
Okay,
So,
well, that's good.
actually, the article that details this will be out long after you hear this episode.
I saw you just posted part 4 of your...
Yeah, every Sunday.
Every Sunday. What level are we on part 4?
Part 4 is still in the 30s somewhere, pretty sure. At any rate, I found in my most ancient backups my original Diablo 2 character files that were last played 11 years ago.
Dang.
When I lived with you.
Wow, that was 11 years ago.
Yeah.
Holy shit, I'm old.
That was me and Joel living with you.
That's like Crypt Keeper old.
Yes.
Jesus H. Christ.
That was the last time I played that character. So I've been leveling up. I got to 50. I finished the game on normal. I killed Mephisto. I didn't get any good loot, which drove me up the fucking wall.
Yeah, I saw you whining about that in the third article.
The boss end game guy really ought to give you anything fucking useful to you.
Well, you got to earn that elsewhere, I mean.
I did earn that, man. I kicked some fucking ass.
Well,
I was actually 10 levels above where I was supposed to be. So I wasn't... But the point being, I remembered all the stuff we did years ago and having 2 installations of Diablo, and you could join a game and you could drop off equipment between characters.
You dropped all your equipment from your old character.
I wanted to. I tried to. Something went horribly wrong. And my current character, I can either keep him at the same level with a lot of his inventory gone, including the important Heraldric Cube, for those of you who have played before, or I can get all the shit back, including the cube and what was in it, but be 9 levels behind.
Oh, I think...
So do I replay those 9 levels, or do I trudge forward in Nightmare for an act and a half, hoping that the quest works to get the Heraldric Cube back again?
I'm thinking you got to go to the 9 levels.
Yeah.
So this is probably...
Because then I get to hit Mephisto again, and I get another chance at good loot.
This is probably an anti-cheat thing.
However, I do have 2 computers, and there really isn't a practical reason, except time,
that you could try both
Why
and
I
see what
can't
works.
try both.
That is literally the nerdiest, most pathetic thing.
Hey, you know what? Chris said the exact same thing.
What,
That's the exact same thing.
that you could try both, or
That would be the nerdiest thing ever.
yeah, that is absolutely appallingly awful. Oh my god! Now is it just?
But it's going to make good articles.
That fair enough. Now you can be like point A.
Yeah.
You've literally turned into DC, bitch.
I have a parallel universe.
Not even that. You literally have. Well, you do, but you also now you have a regular issue and a 0.5 issue.
Oh no!
So be ashamed of yourself. Now the indie pile is appalling.
Yeah,
as we
it's
know.
tremendous, like it
But
usually is.
I believe it shrunk a little bit.
This particular month, a little bit because miniseries stopped.
Yeah, a few things ended.
Yeah.
And a couple end this week. Like, my buying has actually gone down a little bit. A lot
Yes,
of the
it
stuff
totally
has.
has.
Thank fuck.
So, first, you got an early morning, so let's talk about Fuse 5 and 6. Now, Marlena, which just amuses me all to hell, irritated black cop number 1, let's call him, is captured by the Cablers, which is just such a dumb name.
Hey, you know,
Clem saves his ass, and Piotr details who the first guys up were, as if we really have to guess in a science fiction satellite-based thing who the first guys up might have been.
But they weren't called First Guys Up. They had
Initially.
they had a word for it that was slightly less clear.
The Fug-Ups?
Yeah.
The FGUs.
That's it. So, you know, it wasn't making...
Which is just like FNGs. It's not, I mean, it's...
But did you know it stood
easy
for
and
First Guy Up?
I thought about it for half a second when I saw it in the first bubble, and I'm like, it could be, and then I moved on, and I was
Right, well, I mean, it could be a Russian thing. Like, there were any number... One of the cool things about this book is that it is rolling out its world at a really good pace.
Yes, it really is.
You're, from a sci-fi book in particular, it didn't open it into, oh, you need to know all this already. Here's 8,000 pages of fucking
The
annoyingness.
lack of exposition necessary to get you anywhere was appreciated.
Yeah, after that Tales of Honor book as a alternative example.
Wow. I mean, why did they even put pictures in there?
Yeah.
There was so much text in that fucking book.
But then on the other end
Which
of
you'll
it...
note isn't in this stack.
Yes. On the other end of it, it also didn't just be like, oh, well, figure shit out. It's like, okay, it really was able to... I don't remember who wrote this.
Shari,
Anthony Johnston.
Oh, the art's by Shari.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, yeah.
No, Justin Greenwood. Shari is the colorist.
Oh.
That's the name you remember, the colorist.
Well,
You've really turned a page as to your nerddom.
I saw the bottom part first.
But the cool thing about that is I would look at it because what he was able to do with this book, and I liked Fuse. I know you're dropping it because you're like, I can't take another series on right now. And,
Yeah.
Which is interesting because it's finally good sci-fi and you're walking away, which has to like chop your ass.
It does.
A little
It
bit.
really does.
I feel like you're just going to keep buying it at shops and then having to pick
Maybe.
it back up.
It could be. You don't know. I don't know.
But yeah, like you've been waiting so long for a good sci-fi book and it just came at a fiscally poor time.
Yeah.
But the great thing about him as a writer is that he is able to introduce cool aspects of the world intrinsically in dialogue and story.
Right.
So you have this guy coming up and they're not spelling everything out for him right away. He has to learn certain things. Like they're literally being dicks to him. Like, no, you're a new guy. Figure it out. Like, I'm not telling you what an FGU is. You're a douche nozzle. So normally you have these horrible, like, oh, here's my pointer, da 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 da.
Yeah.
Your nickname is Hoover. And no, it's just, it was really well done. The mystery aspect of it was a little bit forced.
Teeny bit, yeah.
You know, but you can't write that well in one area and expect the next thing to be fucking amazing too.
Yeah. It's difficult. There's so many people that fire on all cylinders all the time in
there aren't.
In genre. You know, somebody misses something.
You know what? I mean, when you straddle two worlds like that, like aren't you currently in the midst of, or did you finish the first Asimov Caves of Steel?
Oh yeah, it's done.
So you're literally talking about a science fiction mystery.
Yeah.
Did you find that the mystery was as appealing as the science fiction?
God, no.
No.
Not by a long shot.
And we were talking about Isaac goddamn Asimov. Like, you know, oh, this shit's hard. I didn't think you could do, you know. And he wrote mysteries, too. Like, it's not like, I mean, the guy wrote everything. Literally.
Right
everything.
up to and including chemistry textbooks.
Which are no fun.
I can't imagine. The last time I cracked a chemistry textbook, I was in high school.
The last time I cracked
But I remember a lot about it.
I remember failing it.
I know what anions are still.
I do not.
You're not gonna. Because I'm not telling you.
Bitch, that's just like it was in chemistry.
So the mystery unravels bit by bit by bit. And it does so because there's interrogations of hippies, and there's... Actually, they don't even really finish investigating it because the mayor's wife goes batshit, knowing that she's going to get caught. And what I'm concerned with is, why do they have, even for the mayor's wife, why do they have flammable materials easily available on a fucking satellite? Kerosene. Why does she need kerosene on a satellite?
You know what? I didn't have a problem with that because I think...
It was just confusing. I mean, how? What? You know, you can't burn something. You'll overload the fucking atmosphere scrubbers.
But you know what? I think that makes sense. And bear with me for a second, because I think you're looking at... When you look at sci-fi, there's a tendency to see, like, things in a certain node, almost. Like, if you think about... You're thinking like a logical Star Trek. Like, okay, we're going to space. This is what we need. This is what we don't need.
Yeah.
And we're going to move forward in a clean, orderly way.
Makes sense. Yeah.
I'm thinking about H.B. Piper.
What?
H.B. Piper was a science fiction writer in the 50s. And the reason I bring him up is he wrote a book called Little Fuzzy. And Little Fuzzy was about little furry guys that became friends with minors and whatnot. But totally not necessary. But one of the things that always stuck out to me in that book was they had these really annoying birds that the miners had to shoot all the time because they tried to eat them. And the name of the bird was the damn thing. Because that's what miners would name fucking birds that try to eat them. And I'm like, whenever you read most science fiction, it's like, oh, well, here's this logical, you know, name for this thing. No, that's the goddamn damn thing, and I hate it. I'm going to shoot it with this shovel gun in a moment.
Shovel gun.
Like, I think that space is... If we made it into space as a world, it's going to be ugly. There's going to be people in, like, space truckers, and you're going to bring kerosene, and they're going to bring all this dumb, totally useless shit that's probably insanely dangerous, like handguns and shotguns and mice, all sorts of things you don't want in space.
But kerosene?
Why not?
What are you gonna use it for?
Dude, there are people that who knows, maybe they want to make a fire. Like, they're dumb. That's my point. It's literally the Beverly Space Hillbillies. If you break it down, there's going to be people loading everything into their space freaking van and going on. And that's kind of where this FGU thing comes into play. It's like all these guys who came out originally didn't know what to take, didn't know what it was going to be like. Most of them went batshit local and started hanging out in caves and swinging on cables like Tarzan the Dick.
Right.
So, from that perspective, that totally makes sense to me. Like, if I went into space, I'm going to bring a lot of shit that you absolutely don't need. It's like, no, we don't need all these books, sir. Like, we've got this little cyber tab. Like, fuck off. Leave me alone.
You've exceeded your mass allocation, sir.
Dude, why did you bring a scarf? I don't know. I've never been to space, okay? I know Doctor Who has
It's climate controlled, you bastard.
Like, it might come in handy.
More to the mass allocation. Come on.
Oh, by the way.
Be real about
this. It's a book. You didn't need this many towels. You're a douchebag. I don't know. I'm going to bring a lot of weird crap. Like,
so she spills it, and it all wraps up in a tight little bow.
Do you feel like in the days of police procedural, the wife did it as the new butler did it?
I
know you don't watch a ton of them, but you know how, like,
do they do that a lot now?
It seems like it's, you know, the spouse is the, you know, well, I guess the spouse is always in life. It's
yeah.
Like, oh, somebody got murdered. Are they married? Arrest them. You know.
Yeah, pretty much.
Badoom. But yeah, it was quite a good book, and I'm a little disappointed we won't be continuing it, although I totally get it, because it was clever. It was just smart in the way they rolled it out. So I totally recommend for you. Solid read.
Right. So go get another beer, and I'll start talking about. I mean, you're 4 feet away, so I think I can get cracking on Starlight 5 by the time you get back.
Particularly since we don't have 4.
Right. Now, the kid, who, as much as I love this book, I still don't know his fucking name. The kid's parents were executed because they couldn't save the lives of the ruling family member. And that screams to me ancient China.
There's a very have-not feel. We definitely missed some stuff.
Oh yeah, I know that's one of the ones I think I was stiffed on in the order. I'm fairly certain of it because I like this book and I wouldn't just randomly say no, not this time.
And for you to like a Millar book after the last few is a big jump forward.
Yeah, so I was making sure I was getting this. No. Now, the captain begins his training, and the governor assaults the resistance, and Duke, who is the captain, I finally figured out his fucking name.
Good job.
Duke escapes and kills mermen.
I just think it was Flash Gordon.
More mermen? Really?
I love that, actually.
So we get a big evil ruler speech.
That was kind of cool.
And it was pretty cool.
You've got your ridiculously hot rebel commander. Here's what jumped out at me that really stuck out. Like, it was definitely, we missed a lot in terms of the world building and the issue that we missed, which is always fucking annoying.
Yeah.
Because there's this whole have and have not society that we don't know anything about. Mm-hmm. There's this rebel captain that came out of there and this whole rebel team, and there's a traitor that was hanging out with like them. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Bah! What was really cool is first off, you're going for this classic Flash Gordon vibe. Okay.
And it's working.
It totally feels
totally
like
working.
And Merman screams that.
It does, but I'm wasted on the wake.
You know? You're thinking Snyder's like, oh, man, way to ruin fucking evil mermaids, dude. But we're the only people on Earth who don't like that book, so you
apparently,
got that.
I never saw anybody talking about it on Twitter, though.
No, it was, you know what? I've already made my peace with that book. I don't own any. I won't own any. Good day. However, what was awesome is, because it's a Millar book, how cool is it that when Flash Senior here goes to town, he goes to town. Like, he fucks up Merman. Like, they literally throw him off a cliff into water. Like, oh, those bitches are going to eat him.
Oh, no.
Like it's like the entire army's like, oh, we don't have to go look for him. Those things eat people.
I totally like that. And that's so many times that's been used, but it's so much more effective here because that's this character. It's not something he happened to do. That's him.
He is like master of space war.
He is.
You know, I am Flash Gordon, Death Dealer. But it's a Mark Millar. Like, you had to wonder, like, is this guy like really the bee's knee? Like, you don't know. And it's kind of cool that in a book that's light, and yes, there's darkness of dead mermen, and you kill my parents, prepare to die, I'm Inigo Montoya. He's playing it really straight and light.
He is. And I adore that, really.
Like, when this graphic comes out, your dad like, this screams.
He needs this.
Yeah, it does. You know, because, and when we first like it, it's like, we're like, oh, your dad might, but you're like, oh, it's Mark Millar, let me just see where the fuck this goes.
Yeah. Because my dad's 75. Yeah. He's got 75-year-old sensibilities. Yeah. He's not handling Wanted.
Yeah, tentacle space rape. It's all set with that.
He's not handling Nemesis.
Yeah, nobody handles Nemesis. Even Superior. It's like, what the fuck is with the Russian evil space monkey thing? Like,
Russian evil space. I like the demon space monkey.
You loved it.
I wish he would finish the damn thing.
I think he did at some point. I think there's a graphic out now. I think the final one rolled out somewhere. Because you have like 1 through 5 or 1 through 7, whatever it was, you have the first...
No, I've got all of what I knew there to be out.
But I believe... It might have ended. You might have to look into that.
Right,
but yeah, like so far he's playing this really straight in a retro, awesome kind of way. And again, a me. So yay. Yay for that. Woohoo.
Another you is Shadow. Midnight in Moscow. Number 3. It's Chaykin again.
It's a more tentative yay. Okay, let's start with you on this one because you're not the Chaykin freak that I am.
Yeah, it's really restrained. Margot and Cranston are on a cruise ship and they're talking about the Shadow's personality, which kind of slows the story way down. It's kind of neat to see comic characters being so frank about themselves, but it's also like, can we have something happen?
Well, you've got things.
It's both in and out of Chaykin character because he loves his characters to talk.
More so than you. I think if you go back and look at the original Shadow, Blackhawk, there's all this.
Yeah.
Like because he is a very dialogue driven. Like American flag, yes, there's action, but it's really more. Everything is political, and not political in terms of like Democrats, Republicans, but there's machinations in every motherfucking thing that he writes. There's no fucking subtlety
and
or
he's certainly
quickness.
got subplots in this one too. This St. John and the redhead, whoever the fuck she is,
Some sort of evil villain. That's my take.
You're
bad.
they find out about the failure of the hit of Cranston and Margot on the boat. Because of course it's going to fail.
Oh, it's a shadow. Of course, you know.
Come on,
I
man.
shoot you. I
He
shoot
knows
you.
who lurks. Get the fuck
I
out
laugh
of
a
here
couple
with
of
this.
times and then shoot you. I question you with my girasol, which is some sort of ruby ring, by the way.
They walk around a lot.
Yes.
A whole lot. Everybody is walking somewhere. It was like fucking Lord of the Rings in this
Everyone
book.
is tired.
But then MI6 comes up and says, "You're ours."
Yeah, that was very strange. Like,
I didn't know what they were doing.
I'm
with
the
that.
Shadow
It was like,
spy buddy.
Really?
Or
Does he
Lamont
have
Cranston's?
agents in London?
You know what it really reminds me of, interestingly enough? No, not to my knowledge, but I have read a lot of Shadow, but there's, like, you have to bear in mind, these were written as throwaway novel, magazine novellas in the 30s.
Yeah, that's the very definition of
The
pulp.
but the paperback printing of them ran maybe 20 to 30
20 to 30,000
books.
copies?
No, like 20 to 30 books out of 130 odd. And then you've got the occasional one here, and they're reprinting them in those magazine formats, but most of those are $15 to $20. I have one of those. I have a hardcover that compiles two. My point being is there's a whole lot of Shadow that I have not read, and I have read way more than the average motherfucker, which is like nil. If the Shadow is a fucking bar graph, the straight fucking line at 0 is most of the bar. So, in a very real sense, the Shadow is at the bar very low. No one reads this shit. So he might have agents in fucking Kathmandu. I don't know about him.
Well, that seems a safe bet, actually.
Good point. The cool thing is that he's able to bring in aspects of his other series without overly referencing it.
Okay.
But the dialogue factor is a huge, like, and as I was saying, like, you like Chaykin, but
They were just walls of text.
it's everywhere. I can bring you things, and you're like, well, remember that cowboy one I bought that you wouldn't even finish?
Oh, yeah.
Where literally one guy got shot in an entire Western
Yeah, which is unusual and disappointing.
in every level.
Hey, man. They got 6 fucking bullets in that gun, man.
Don't you know how the rules of this shit work? Like, did you not see the Django? Like, shoot somebody. Like anybody. No, there's some... I am starting to enjoy the book more and more. You know what this makes me wonder? Is how well he could have done on Batman. Because his feel for the Shadow and this guy who is pretending to be a playboy with an agenda.
He never did do any serious Batman.
No,
did he?
little things here or there. He wrote that thrill killer thing that Daniel Brereton did with Robin and Batman and Batgirl as 60s characters.
Right.
Which I have because I'm a freak that way. But, you know. And I think he's done a one-shot here. Like, he did a Batman, Catwoman one-shot. Probably a little thing here or there. But for the most part, he's never really dipped a giant toe in that.
Very strange, actually.
Because it screams him.
It really does.
And particularly since all his characters kind of look like Bruce Wayne.
Pretty much, yeah.
His Blackhawk looks like Bruce
Totally.
Wayne, who looks like this Shadow, who looks like 8 other guys, American flag. Like, you can
And
literally...
they look like that, and they look like that, and so on, and so
he
on.
shoots 2 friends, and he shoots 2 friends.
Speaking of shooting friends,
Oh, Lord, yes.
fuck yeah. United States of Murder Incorporated, number 4.
The action takes a big jump forward.
They finally... Except they do some of it in flashback where the Mafia goes strong-arming people on Wall Street.
That was ridiculously awful.
That was terrible, because it's like, what do you mean there's no fucking money here? Well, yeah, you know, we can't... No, look, it's...
It was...
How do I explain non-cash to you, motherfuckers?
You're a mob boss in what seemed to be the 80s.
Yeah.
Or 90s, even.
Yeah.
Like, you know how stocks work. Like, you're not going to cut a guy's arm off. First off, like, you'd be the worst criminal ever.
Yeah, it's just... Look, dude, this has to be sold, then we can get the dough. But we're gonna have to transfer it from the bank. This takes time.
It's gambling. You can lose money in the stock market.
Absolutely.
Without the stockbroker being...
But you guys know how it's fucking working there, so you can, you can rig this shit.
Well, you know what? They might beat the crap out of him. I believe that, but cutting his arm off in the middle of the thing, like, it's things like that to take away from, because this book is building interestingly. I'm getting into the characters more. There's a huge, awesome gunfight in this one, and at the end of it, you've got and the names are just lost in this. Like, they're not memorable people. I'm sure you have them written down.
Well, yeah, of course I do. The main two, the kid
is
Valentine,
and the girl is,
and the mobster hit girl, awesome chick, assassin lady is Jagger.
All right.
Now they meet up with his old buddy Delilah, who's running a mob casino now.
Or no, I think she's a hooker in it. She's not running shit.
It seemed like she was pretty much in charge, but we're not gonna. Don't worry about that.
Either way,
she's in the casino.
She's freaking wall pizza by the end of it, so it doesn't really matter.
Ew. Wall pizza? Because Jagger kills her so she doesn't want her ratting them out.
She already ratted them out. She's killing a rat.
Yes, and the mooks show up, and then the bullets start fucking flying.
But the cool thing, like, the point I was trying to make is, like, Jagger has this awesome fight scene where she does cool, amazing things, and she's like, holy shit, that worked, and I'm shocked and kind of awesome. And so there's a nice build to the two characters. Valentine and Jagger are building as characters. You've got some interesting mob things going on behind the scenes. So there are aspects that are clever, and then there's things that just take away from this world, and you're like, I'm not buying that.
Yeah.
And when it was just like the previous issue where you had the mobsters throwing Molotov cocktails at tanks, like, oh, we're going to win this war. No one has ever won that war.
No.
Ever. Molotov, that's a tank, bitch.
He's going to have to show me a lot more flashbacks where things get a lot more interesting, because you're right. That's not fucking working, man.
So, the overall world is pretty interesting, and I like the book, but for whatever reason, the base concept of it is so off that you're just never like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. Yes, you are a mobster who, like, if you can ignore the huge friggin' elephant in the room, which is, this is dumb. If
you forget
that the mob owns New England,
all the way over to Cleveland, right?
Or parts of it. It's not like they have a map. I have no idea.
Well, yeah. If you can, when you forget that while you're reading the rest of the action and story, it's amazing.
It is a good book, but yeah, there are.
But then they do something stupid like, what do you mean you can't gamble with the fuck? It's fuck off.
But like, they have legitimate feeling mobster mentality. Like when those guys were debating what to do with these guys, and it was cool that you have mob bosses not wanting to sacrifice loyal soldiers, even though it's easier.
Yeah.
And still probably going to do it, but the debate and all these guys going, yeah, it sucks, but then we don't die.
Right.
Because your classic mobster is, oh, just kill that dude, fuck it. But this is a made guy. This is not what you do. So there's a really neat world here. It just starts on such a glaring, no, that's just dumb. What if everyone it's like some sort of else world, like, what if everyone was on pogo sticks? And they're like, Alan Moore wrote it, and friggin' Mike Mignola drew it. And you're like, and John Byrne did the cut, and you're like, wait, this is amazing, but they're on pogo. Like, why am I reading this? Like, it's a pogo. I don't want to live in pogo world. I don't understand. Don't make things like this awesome. It confuses me.
Right. What confuses me,
other than me,
well, I've pretty much had a handle on you for a long time.
Yeah, fair enough.
What confuses me is how they ended Star Wars with issue 20 with such a ending.
Well, you know what? It's a small story. First off, you have to assume these were already in the pipe. Like, it's not like they're like, oh, Star Wars is ending. Write an epic. Dude, you got 5 issues, like, and 4 of them are already written and drawn. No. Deal with it.
I guess. The gang finally gets a message from Saren while repairing the Falcon, and Saren heads to the rendezvous, but IG-88 gets there first.
Okay, this did scream like bad Marvel Star Wars. I will give you that. And there's a couple factors that I was unable to, like, give up on.
Now, at the same time, I felt, wow, that's a decent character moment. And, wow, it's kind of dumb. when Saren was so broken up over her R2 unit being destroyed. And I had to think about it for a second and said, well, yeah, she's got good reasons. She hasn't dealt with another living being for years, and you can communicate with an R2 unit. They have personalities.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and it's world accurate in that they've established that people are fond of their robots in a lot of ways. Don't be dirty. No, I didn't have a problem with that at all. There were a couple things, and I even liked the way they wrote IG-88. Although, again,
you're always going to do that, aren't you? You're never going to say IG, are you?
Never. No, it's always going to be Iggy. Iggy-88. Punk rock icon.
Of course.
No, there's one thing that Star Wars did, and a lot of it's a problem of the novelizations and the attempt to keep everything connected, is that every bounty hunter had to have this huge feud with Harrison Ford
and I've
and Han
never
Solo.
understood that.
It was
I've
so
never
bad.
liked that.
It was so bad. And so when they played into that, you're like, no, that's awful. But there were two moments in this that were so awful that it really, I'm like, dude, this was a great book, and this might be the worst issue of it. And the two things that stuck out as driving me absolutely insane. One, when what's the girl's name that they found? Saren. Note taking is so much more helpful. When Saren commuted to Leia using the secret language they wrote their own book in, it was like a screeching, like pull the brakes, like, oh, fuck off.
You know, you don't want to see that in a book like this, but I know girls from high school who did. Well, they didn't write books in it, but they had their own little fucked up version of Pig Latin.
I don't
they
know
would talk
anyone
to us about.
who ever.
Yeah, Sherry and Renee did that shit.
All right. Well, I will give you that, but still, it was like this horrible, like, what? No. But that wasn't even the worst. The thing that most drove me insane was when they blew up the ship, and you see IG-88 flying in space, going, "Damn you, Solo!" If you can't hate that,
damn you, SOLO-ZARRRRR.
Oh, so bad.
Yeah, no, I did. He was just. I'm thinking Wood was just like, oh, I got to be off the book. Here's your last panel, asshole.
No, that one. Well, you know what? It's very hard to use. One of the most challenging things about Star Wars is that you can't kill any of the characters that exist,
sure, especially in this period.
Right. So you're in this weird limbo. It's like, well, if I create my own characters, people get annoyed, and it's very easy to get annoyed because you're like, dude, who the fuck is Bob the Samurai? And why is he hanging out with Han Solo? And why is he flirting with, like, dude?
And why wasn't he at the Battle of Death Star 2?
Right. It becomes this really annoying, like, fan fiction thing. Like, you're throwing these guys into this created world, and it's very easy to be like, no, I hate this fucking guy. I don't want to read any more about fucking Bob the Samurai. I don't care. Like, oh, he's got force potential. No, he fucking doesn't. Like, stop it. Does he look like you? Is this like some sort of perfect version of Brian Wood? No, get out of here with Bob the Samurai. But it happens all the time. And almost every Star Wars book has done this.
Well, I mean, realistically speaking, from a story perspective, can you get away for hundreds of issues with the exact same cast, never adding anybody permanent, never getting rid of it? You know,
Star Trek. I just nailed you to the wall with that. But I see your point. But the thing is, the Star Wars universe is so
100% accurate, and you're so close to getting punched in the neck right now.
It totally is, but
it's true.
The Star Wars universe has a wide enough count, and one of the cool things that's come of all that,
unless you count the animated series, because they had that cat communications officer in it, and the asshole navigator with the third arm coming out the middle of his chest. They were in every fucking episode.
Right, but they weren't characters. Like, it's not like they did anything.
They were on screen and they had lines, but they weren't characters.
It's not like they ever went down on a planet or did anything cool.
They did go to planets.
The navigator did not.
Yeah, he did.
Did he really? Wow.
I watched it. Who are you fucking talking to?
Fair enough, but
it was only 2 years ago I rewatched that.
No, but even the series like threw in regular guys here or there. I don't have a problem with that. It's like, but the Star Wars, because it's so iconic, and so is Star Trek. The difference is that you have a ship with a set crew.
Yeah.
With the Rebellion, like, yes, you can introduce, oh, here's a rebel commander, da 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 da, but all these Jedi, it really does feel like, for lack of a better term, masturbate. Like, it's, fan fiction filth. They're like, oh, here's my character, and look how powerful they are in the start. Like, how many of these books had characters? How many novelizations said, oh, you've got a lot of force potential, Bob? Yes, I use Bob for everything. Fuck off.
Well, I mean, in the whole second trilogy in the 90s, that was the whole point, was finding force-sensitive characters. So that doesn't...
Right. But, Mara Jade, like, all these things become...
Kyle Katarn lasted a long time.
It's true.
He was made up from a video game, for fuck's sake.
Nope. And there's going to be that kind of stuff, but for whatever reason, because it was a smaller group, and because it wasn't a crew, and because, like, for whatever reason, these characters always seem more out of place in the core group.
Mm-hmm. No, I see that.
Like, everyone who wrote a Star Trek novelization had an ensign or something that wasn't normal. Like, there are very few that, particularly if they were well written, that only focused on character, because you can't. Like, sooner or later, somebody's going to be like, Mr. Sulu, do you need another hamburger? Like, somebody's going to show up that's not in the... Bad writing allows you to only use the people in there. But Star Wars had a tendency to make them much bigger characters.
Yeah, okay, I can see where you're going. But it's getting late.
Yep.
So it was a disappointing end, regardless, because it was an end of a story, and as the end of a story, it was blah. As the end of a series, it was like, I was reading that. So Baltimore, Witch of HARJU.
I don't understand this series at all.
This is a very strange book, and in a series of strange books. So Baltimore's group decides to bury the undead in a safety coffin, which kind of makes sense, because it turns out, yeah, we fucking need safety coffins, because, oh my god, the entire graveyard is ding-a-linging. So the citizens are getting ripped apart because the witch came back, or the husband came back, or somebody came back. The witch actually shows up and turns into a crow at one point and does nothing. The dead villagers are burned. The whole cemetery is...
But somehow they can't burn their own sidekicks. They promised him he'd be buried in his own grave. Like,
well, there's a modicum of respect they have to have for their buddy.
Well, they claim that the character made them promise this, but I suppose if you were going to team up with Baltimore, you'd get your friggin' death wishes written down early and often.
Yeah, that would be a contractual.
So I guess I could, yeah. Oh, I've seen what we do. Okay, this is what I need when I go. The interesting thing about first off, I think that the wife is the witch, is my own personal theory. I don't know if it'll go that way, but I feel like... but this is just... The whole Baltimore universe, to me, screams Bugs Bunny. And let me explain what I mean by that. Early on in Bugs Bunny, a lot of writers and artists had a very hard time getting a handle on the character. So you were always having or if you go back to the early Bugs Bunny, like, there's a constant change, like, oh, I don't quite understand this, or I don't quite get how this character works. And with Baltimore, we're dealing with the same people writing it, but it feels like different Baltimores all the time.
It really does.
Like, how did this become a wacky teen book?
He's had, you didn't read the novel, but he's had buddies.
I haven't. I haven't read it.
These are mostly soldier buddies.
Right. Yeah, he had like a doctor friend and a soldier friend, and then a third one, and each of them had a vampire encounter of their own that all played into Baltimore's origin.
But I like it, but it seems plotting, and it seems overly fast at the same time. The Baltimore, it feels like this weird left field not attached to the Baltimore universe. A little bit, because they still haven't, 2 issues in, they still haven't established why they're in Estonia to begin with. I mean, it's a given that he's going to be hunting a Haigu, or whatever the fuck his name was. Yeah. Count Hai.
But yeah, they haven't addressed that at all. They haven't discussed where the friends came from.
Yeah. Nothing.
Here's my Indian manservant, my scarred friend, and Captain Mustache, vampire food.
No, nothing. But, I mean, for jumping right in like that, it's okay.
I'm enjoying... Like, if you take Baltimore out of this, and they really almost have, like, Baltimore has a very small part.
He does. He does virtually nothing.
If this were a 3-issue, like, we hunt vampires, you'd be like, okay, I kind of like these characters. I want to see what happens. Not that they've developed them a ton, but you know, if this were a 300-issue miniseries that didn't have a recognizable character, you wouldn't have a problem with it per se. Would you keep buying it because they have no personality? Maybe not. But
Probably not, yeah.
But you see my point.
Yeah.
But this doesn't feel like Baltimore.
We got so much more shit to get through. Star Trek, City on the Edge of Forever, the original teleplay, number 3. So, it's still the TV show. If you've seen the TV show, the only difference in this is that the guy that Spock is laboring for tries to cheat him, and Spock just fucks his world up. That's the only difference. Now, you might have seen the episode ages ago.
I just read that photo novelization that I gave you.
Well, then you know that the only difference is that.
No, because they do. It's much longer. They spend a lot more time talking about the missing guy.
Yeah.
And the philosophical differences are everything. The same conversations happen. Everything is longer.
Yeah.
It's so much.
Well,
but
it's Harlan Ellison.
It's good.
So.
It is a good read.
Yeah, and they finally meet Keeler at a street rally, and it gets all kind of pally-wally.
Yes. No. Everything is well done. The art is solid. Every time I read this, I compare it to the Star Wars, and it's miles above that. I'm enjoying it, and I don't give a rat's ass about Star Trek. It's always been a solid issue or episode. There's a reason it's iconic, but it is freaking. It is definitely long. Like, is this a 6 or a 9 issue? Like, what the hell is this thing?
4.
There's no way it's 4.
4. No. I have 4.
Oh, okay.
I read 4.
Oh, that's in the next indie pile.
Yes.
I haven't read that yet.
That
jumps forward a little.
It barrel rolls into
Okay.
the plot, so it just bang.
So you feel like a 6 then, or a 5?
Yeah, it's going to top out at 6. There's no way it's more than 6.
Okay.
It's probably going to be just 5.
It's too bad that obviously this will never happen again, because IDW doing this, I would read more Star Trek like this, and it sounds dumb to say I read more fucking 6-issue comics based on a single episode of a TV show. If Harlan Ellison is involved, yes, but this will never. This is a perfect storm. But for this to work as well as it does is literally amazing,
isn't it? And that says a lot toward Ellison.
Yep.
And it says a lot toward IDW's faith in both the property and Ellison to let it go.
Do you think they expanded it all? You think this was all... Because there's no way that this was ever going to fit in a single TV show.
That's rough, because teleplays are going to get written and they're going to get edited anyway.
I'm sure they must have published it somewhere. We should look.
You got to remember, the original series was not the 42-minute steamrolling plot that we have today. I mean, virtually everything I'm rewatching on Netflix or watching new is almost exactly 42, 43 minutes. That's modern television.
Yeah.
This shit was 50 to 55.
That's true. Commercials were not the same.
Yeah. They always had one break. Sometimes they had 2.
Yeah.
And it was never more than 2-3 commercials tops.
No, that's true.
There might have been room, because you can act out this shit faster than the pages imply it's happening.
This has got to be the first Star Trek thing you've bought and loved in a long time.
Yes, a very long time.
Does this make you think about trying something else, or
other Star Trek? Probably not. But in the interest of getting you out of here,
yep,
in the interest of not doing injustice to the rest of these books, because we got more than a dozen books left, we're going to do 3 more, send you home, and
I'll
we're
fly,
gonna have
dude.
a second part. No, because we want to be able to talk about shit.
No.
You need to sleep. You got to be up at 4, so fuck that.
That is so painfully true.
And we're 48 minutes as it is, so we're good.
We'll go for a bit.
3 issues are going to be
what's
fine.
next?
What's next is NAILBITER 4, where we're introduced to the What the Fuck Killer, which just kills me.
Serial killer names in media are so stupid. I mean, they're stupid, like Son of Sam. Like, they're not like good in real life, but there's so much freedom to make up whatever you want. This is such a good book, and it should not be. Like, on paper, reading about it, and they're all on paper, they're fucking comic books.
Dumbass.
Somebody's like, oh, I'm going to write a book about a town filled with serial killers. What?
It does not sound like it's going to be the best thing ever.
And it is a really good book. Now,
It-
this is
it
another one
truly
we're
is.
dumping despite being good for
Because I
brevity's
thought it was
sake.
a mini. You know, but I can't, you know. A mini I can take the hit on for 4 or 6 issues.
Even 8, if it looks
Even 8
good.
sometimes if it's really good, like New Dead Guardians or whatever. But I can't have my book numbers jacking up all the fucking time.
Yep.
I got to cut somewhere else, and I don't want to cut Uncanny X-Men yet.
It's
maybe
damn
when,
good.
Maybe when a new writer eventually shows up in 5 years, I'll drop that like I did Avengers, which drives me nuts because I'm rereading Secret Warriors and I love that fucking book, and it's a Hickman book,
Yeah, but
and I just don't like what he did with Avengers.
yeah, but if you remember, Secret Warriors got stranger by the end too.
Yeah, but not that much more. I mean,
I need to
I'm
go
on
back and
21
find
of
those.
28.
I have like 2 issues. I need to pick up some graphics on that. That was a great read. But now,
Yeah.
getting back to Nailbiter,
Right.
the best thing about this book is the cinematic quality to it. They're writing it in a visual style that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Like that weird thing they did with the lights in the last issue was just
That
so
was pretty
not
good.
comic book.
No, it isn't. Even though movies and comics are both highly visual mediums. I mean, movies is only visual. You can't have a movie without fucking visuals. But
It'd be awkward.
The actual, yes, you'd have a radio show. You'd have the fucking shadow.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime gal.
So, where was I going with this?
Um,
The flickering lights is a very, very movie thing. And most people won't want to waste incredibly valuable panels with just black space implying that a light is flickering.
But even beyond that, and you're absolutely right. Like it's a good point. But even beyond that, the cool thing about what they did with that, and I don't want to talk about the last issue when we have this one, is there was no payoff. Nothing happened with it.
No, it was just mildly advancing the story and people talking.
Right. Which is not really comic booky either. Like that's a movie thing. Like, oh, you see the monster, it starts to move towards you, but nobody dies or anything happens. Comic books, there tends to be more of a payoff.
Yeah, because you only got 22 pages. And
Right.
give you a
There's
moment to deal
so
with it.
this kind of subtlety to things is pretty cool. So here we are now, and now they're in the graveyard of serial killers, which is the most horrifying place ever.
So they're trying to dig up the book burner's coffin because they think Carol might be there. But they turn out to find a fucking cavern down there with a quadruple amputee. It's fucking like, what? Alice talks to Nailbiter for a while. Alice is the kid, if you remember,
Yep.
who wants to be a badass and thinks she's all cool, but is really just another fucking kid.
Don't bully me. Oh, you're dead. Never mind.
Sorry about that. Robbie has attacked them. Robbie being the jock douche's buddy, who is now dead.
Yes. Thank you.
Then he kills himself, yapping about some kind of curse. There's a new coffin in the grave, but we already talked about the cavern. Carol is that they finally found Carol.
Yeah,
Carol
he's
is the
a fucking
amputee.
batshit loco.
And that drives Finch nuts because he's been looking for him all this time, and now his buddy is just like, "Brr."
Yeah, it's a dark book. It very much falls into the revival quality,
Yeah.
but it's captivating reading, and I do really like it. Shockingly, however, for the Nailbiter book, you'd think Nailbiter would be a little more focal. Not that I'm complaining that he's not, because I like the teams. This feels like the most fucked up single episode of the X-Files ever. Like, for those of you
It really is.
for those of you who love the X-Files, and I enjoy that show, but who love the X-Files and love like the depth of it and whatnot, my favorite was always the weird, freaky single ones, like Humbug. Like, oh, we're a sideshow of freaks. Like, I'm in with you. All right, done and done.
You
I ate a
must
light
have
bulb.
You must have adored the Cops episode.
I don't think I ever saw that.
No?
No, I only saw, I think
That was a standalone. It meant
'Cause remember-
absolutely nothing in the greater scheme. And
When-
it was just like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
when I started watching it, we actually started to get, you'd seen it earlier.
I'd seen some.
Yeah, I don't think you ever watched it, but you watched it more consistently than I ever did. I've seen none.
Yeah.
I bought the first 4, and we were watching them when we were living together.
Yeah.
And then after that, like Netflix and moving and whatnot. So I don't think I've seen anything past that. I've seen almost all the first 4 episodes because we had one screwed up disc or missing one or something.
Yeah, that's right.
But other than that, yeah, I don't think I've seen anything other than the first 4.
Ouch.
Weird, right?
9 seasons. Just stop at 8. Whenever you do get to it, just stop at 8. Because 9 is just not fucking worth it. So yeah, you're absolutely right. This book is the creepiest X-Files episode you've ever seen.
It really does feel that way.
It is.
And you're trying to remember that. You're like, okay, remember to get that into the quotes so that we can get the X-File fan.
X-Files
Quote.
Yeah.
Today's title is Pandering.
Outcast 3 doesn't pander to us, though.
Dude, this is such a miserable... Now, the last one was dark. This is just miserably...
It's so just god-awfully depressing. Everything is just black. Now, a possessed Blake bites out Teresa's tongue, for fuck's sake. Who the fuck is Blake? I don't remember.
Yeah,
Who's
neither.
Teresa? Who the fuck knows?
Well, she's tongueless, so she can't be that big key to the storyline.
And he's doing it at a poker game, and somewhere out of nowhere, you flip a page, and we get some pseudo-philosophical horseshit about why it's proper to bite out tongues.
It's not. Never acceptable.
Now, Kyle and the pastor, now, those are people we know. Kyle's the star.
Yes.
The pastor is his semi-buddy who needs him to get exorcisms done because of his knowledge and experience with demons,
Oh.
but is doing the work himself, even though he's got plenty of experience, apparently. So why does he need Kyle?
Who knows?
He's
He's
a
getting
lone-
thrown down the stairs
He's
somewhere.
a lonely old man.
Yeah.
You need an old priest and a young priest. It's that simple. There's nothing much to that.
Now,
So they have lunch. And it's a nice lunch.
was that the pastor? I didn't even realize.
Yeah, that was it.
I was like, who's this random old dude? What the fuck is going on? It's so hard jumping from month to month sometimes. Like,
little
sometimes
bit.
it's easy
Yeah,
to follow,
it
sometimes
really
it
is.
throws you off.
Now, there's lots of flashbacks, and there's a lot of talking, and there's a frightening amount of recrimination just before the detective shows up for Kyle's help.
It is absolutely insane. Now, one of the interesting things in the letter page, there's a moment where somebody writes in, they're like, I love this book, but I can't imagine how you could make this continue as an ongoing series. Exorcisms, inevitably. And Kirkman's like, oh, it's funny, because that's exactly what they said about Walking Dead. And I'm sitting there like, okay, that is funny. I also can't see how you can make this continue.
Nah, I'm trying, but, eventually you're going to have to resolve his issues with himself and the other world.
Walking Dead is captivating. This is bleeding misery all over me. It's not the same thing.
There's still slivers of hope here and
Oh,
there
no, it's
in
not,
Walking
like-
Dead.
oh,
In
yeah,
Walking
yeah.
Dead, not in here yet.
No, sorry, I thought you meant like hope for the book. I misread where you're going.
no.
It's not a
Inside
poor
the book.
book at all.
No, not by a
But
long
like,
shot.
I have no interest in buying graphic. Like, I don't want to reread this. I'm not like, ooh, yeah, let me go sit down and fucking cry myself to sleep.
I'm not, I don't mind having grim subject matter. I don't mind shining a light in the dark places of our psyches.
Oh, I've read H.P. Lovecraft. I know that not every hero gets out okay, but like, this is so unrelentingly awful.
Bleak. And not awful quality. Let's reiterate that
it's
again.
Extremely well done, bleak, but what the fuck is that? Like, this is some professional level bleakness you got going on here.
How long can that go?
Blue metal bleak is just not something anybody wants.
Whatever, dude. I don't even know what that meant.
It's me.
Blue metal. Anyway, so speaking of not unrelentingly grim and yet grim, Revival 23 is just about to wrap up its second year.
More than that, because
And-
it hasn't always been monthly, right?
Right. But at this point, this is a month behind already. So
No,
we're
true.
getting close to a second
Yeah.
full year being over. Now, I think we see M's original murder in here. I'm not entirely certain. But I think it's her original murder. But now she's in the shower bleeding like usual, so it's some kind of weird psycho flashback thing. Cooper, again, for God's sake, Coop, what are you, fucking Carl? Stay in the fucking house. He's out in the woods again doing dumb Cooper shit. The sheriff goes to Holt asking about Coop. The cannibal reviver's smorgasbord is in full fucking swing in Manhattan, which is just creepy as fuck. I know you're rich. I know you want to live forever, but eating undying people is just fucked.
Well, eating people, like, yeah, they could be dying people. You've still made a poor career choice.
Yes, but he is alive while they're chowing down.
But he's undead.
Well, he's animated while they're chowing down.
Any way you look at
and
it.
only a couple of them are like, whoa, hey, you said this guy was fucking dead.
Any way you look at it, if your basic game plan involves noshing on people, you're a crap stick.
Yeah, pretty much.
However, the whole I'm going to poison myself with mercury, like, this guy is the most awful of the undead.
He's fucked up. They can't be 100% undead, because otherwise the mercury would just stay in his stomach and it wouldn't poison anybody.
Well, I mean,
so he must be metabolizing it somehow. He must be kind of alive.
He
But
might be
that's a
rubbing
good
it all
point.
over himself. Who the hell knows? Like,
But mercury doesn't really stick. So
Yeah,
whatever.
fair enough. That
So
is
this
true.
is comic books. Don't overthink it. Go fuck yourself.
I
now,
like logic.
Hines might know something about the Czech boys, though, so he's using that over Martha's fucking head, which is not cool.
Dude, again, using politics in the more general sense, this is an awesomely political book. Like, there's,
Oh, sure.
there's so much going on in this book. Occasionally, I get there've been at least 2 to 3 issues from, like, fucking something needs to happen. Like, I just read an entire issue of nothing.
Yeah.
This is not one of them. The thing I didn't understand is how she was able to use the soul again. Like, she just brought it with her. Like,
Oh, the shmoo against Hines.
yeah, like,
Yeah,
mind
it's
blown.
been 6 weeks since I read this or so. So I'm not 100% certain anymore that she did that, or if she was just around when the shmoo showed up and finally found Hines.
I thought her dialogue indicated, like, she was aware. She's like, I'm not worried about you because the shmoo's gonna eat you. Like, I felt like that. You may have to revisit it.
Yeah.
That's a valid point. But yeah, she didn't seem surprised that there was a giant fucking soul-sucking soul.
She had seen it in Wisconsin.
But that's a big
briefly.
cry from seeing it in New York show up and eat this guy's face.
Well, she can't be too shocked because, she got a reviver being eaten by rich people right now. So, I mean, shock after shock doesn't really follow anymore,
I'll
does
give
it?
you that, but at the same time, the shmoo is a whole different. Like, you can understand the revivals, but the shmoo revival connection, the shmoo revival connection. I have 3 of their albums. They're awesome, particularly acoustic.
On that note, we're going to send you home so you can sleep and not be a complete fucking zombie
Probably
at
for the
work
best.
tomorrow. And we will have a second episode, which works, actually, because we don't have a DC episode this week.
Yeah, true. And the indies have gotten overwhelming.
Yes. So, take your shit and get the fuck out of my house.
Bless you, fucker.
And away.
Away from what?
All of this.
Take me away from all this, Rev. The Mean Geek is recorded live at the Reverend Mad Duck's apartment whenever the hell we can get to it. Find us on Facebook, Stitcher, Twitter under @TheMeanerGeek. Subscribe to us through RSS.
Or we can be located at our own site, www.themeangeek.com. And most importantly of all, you can find us as a proud member of the Comics Podcast Network.
Email us directly at themeanergeek@gmail.com.
Can I drink now?
You may.